Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I was saying this, that we judge coaches on a different scale. Matt LaFleur goes 9-8, and I think universally we look at it and think, that was a hell of a coaching job. It's the youngest team to make the playoffs since the 70 Bills. And I said this with Jim Harbaugh. Let's consider everything. You're in a distracted market that you're literally lost, and you just came from San Diego where you played in a soccer stadium for 2 years. So what is success for Harbaugh? And I said today, there's a very real possibility over the next 5 years that to get to the Super Bowl, he'd have to face Mahomes and Reed 3 times.
Yeah.
And beat him in the last one.
Right.
It'd be nice to at least beat him once in the first two. But that if he won a division title twice in 5 years and he never got to a Super Bowl, but lost thrilling games, it was Mahomes, Herbert, Harbaugh 3 times in 6 years, I would judge that absolutely as a successful Charger run. That Phil Mickelson's great. He would have had 12 more majors without Tiger Woods. The Utah Jazz teams were actually really, really good. You know very well the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
Things are shortened when you've got Magic, Tiger, MJ, LeBron. How many people did LeBron keep out of the finals in the East? And that Harbaugh and Herbert have to be judged on a scale of, you got Tiger Woods in his prime here.
So, which is why I thought it was maybe an odd job to take. I understand your point, and it's the right point, which is it was the only job available with a great quarterback. But let's talk about, if the goal is to get to the Super Bowl, you probably have to go 2 out of 3 in a season against Mahomes. Because if you lose both in the regular season, you don't win the division. Very, very hard to get swept by the Chiefs and go 0-2 in the regular season, but then win the division. Like, how's that going to happen? So you've got to at least split in the regular season, so when you play in the playoffs, it's in your building. And that's the other sneaky tough thing about the Chargers is it's 8 or 9 road games and then 8 or 9 neutral site games. Like, they're not going to have a huge home field advantage, which is a really, really rough position to be in. And so I wouldn't necessarily hold it against them. This is why people are wondering why it was so quickly the Chiefs went to somewhat hated. In some circles, so hated that some of the dumbest people in America think the tale as old as time of super popular celebrity female dating superstar athlete is a psyop by the CIA to help get Biden reelected. Like, man, we got Giselle and Tom over on him. Let's try it again. They didn't know when it was Mickey Mantle and, oh my goodness, the most famous woman ever to live.
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe. We tricked them then. Let's try it. Run it back one more time. Like, give me a break. I think one of the reasons I don't think people are so sick of the Chiefs. I think they're so sick of the Patriots right into the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So the Patriots dynasty was 20 years. And then they played the Chiefs in an AFC title game, handed them the baton, and now the Chiefs thing has started. So in the AFC, Colin, 2011 to now, there have been 13 AFC title games, all right? So 26 teams could have played in it. 14 of the 26 are the Chiefs and the Patriots. There have been, in the last 13 years, the 13 Super Bowls from the AFC. 5 were Tom Brady, 4 were Patrick Mahomes, 2 Peyton Manning, and then Flacco once and Burrow once. So if you're in the AFC, you're like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah. Like, the Patriot thing just ended, and now this thing is going on, and it just feels like you have so many. If you're in the NFC, Matt Ryan gets to a Super Bowl. Kurt Warner as a Cardinal gets to Super Bowl. Cam gets to Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, there's almost a democracy there. In the AFC, it feels like, well, I didn't have Tom, Peyton, or Patrick. I'm drawing dead. And so, I do think that let me ask you this. Was Phillip Rivers' Chargers tenure successful? Do you think the fans felt it was? How did they feel?
Well, it was. I said this today. Do you think San Francisco's happy with Kyle Shanahan? They have no rings. Do you think the Dolphin fans were happy with Don Shula, whose last 22 years, 16 times, he didn't make the playoffs or was one and done, didn't win a playoff game. In 16 of the 22 years, he had Dan Marino. Do you think Don Shula is no, but he was facing other great teams in their prime. And so I just think you have to grade on different scales. This is why I don't take championships as the be all end all. Bill Russell had 11, Jordan 6. I mean, Dickie Simpkins had 3. I mean, we got to be honest about this stuff, is that the Utah Jazz were not a great team. They were a very good team. I don't think Jordan kept them from greatness. Why? Because Malone's an all-timer, Stockton is, and then it was kind of guys, right? Yep. Like most of your great teams have 3, 4, 5, 6. And so, but there are times where I think Harbaugh and Herbert, we're going to have to look at it. And if they could get to a Super Bowl, that is a big effing hurdle in the AFC now.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's right now, active starting quarterbacks who have been to a Super Bowl. Forget win it, been to it. I'm going to try to do off the top of my head. Obviously, Mahomes. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a starter anymore. I don't know if Russell Wilson's a starter anymore. Like, he might not be. He's going to get cut. Rodgers, but he's at the end. So we're talking about in their prime. So Mahomes, Burrow, Stafford. There's an obvious one I'm forgetting. Purdy now, obviously. And the list is running short. You know what I mean? Like, it is just getting there is so incredibly difficult. That I agree with, which is why here's what I think does matter. I do think these guys who want to be Kevin Clark, who I know, you're pals with, he's been on your show. I think he's great. He said that there are guys, great players, whose entire NFL legacy and history is going to be thought of entirely differently just because Mahomes existed. The same way what Jordan did to a lot of people in the 90s, like we look at them as X when they should have been Y because of Mahomes. But it's also why it's so incumbent on those guys to not blow opportunities either when Mahomes trips up or before you get to him. So like Lamar's going to get killed in the short term because of this game, and that's fair. But he didn't lose to the Texans before he got the chance. You know what I mean? Like, you lost to the champ. Like, what I think is probably a tough one, that Wilds asked me this today off the air. Like, which AFC team right now is the most like Jesus? Like, watching the Chiefs doing what they're doing. And I said, I wonder if in a weird way it's Cincinnati. I wonder if Cincinnati's thinking, man, we beat him and then had a chance to win the Super Bowl, couldn't close it out. The next year, had the ball, 90 seconds left, tie game, could have beaten him again and didn't close it out. And then the next year, when the Chiefs were super vulnerable, our guy gets hurt, we don't get a chance. And now the next time Burrow's on the field, maybe T. Higgins isn't there. Do the Bengals quietly right now think, man, our best chance is the one that we just had, and now we've got to kind of build it back up? The Bills thinking the same thing. Like, the Ravens, in a weird way, I don't think they look at it this like a massive blown opportunity. I know it was, but they got beaten significantly. The Chargers, I think, are just saying, we would love an opportunity to have our hearts broken. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but we would love to be back playing in the games where there's an opportunity to have our hearts broken. And we look at Phillip Rivers as a fringe Hall of Famer. He made the conference title game one time because he had Brady, Peyton, and Big Ben to go through. And that's hard, man. That's hard.